Coming to you from beautiful downtown Spokane, where you can enjoy all 4 seasons in just one day. Because when we do nature, we go hardcore. It's the Queer-Centric with your host, Queerly Judge.
The second longest running musical of all time from Broadway is coming to Spokane. So everybody get excited. The new show to us in this is Les Mis, and I'm going to ask our lovely guest to pronounce the full thing because I'm never good at that. But remember, it's coming to the First Interstate Center for the Arts in downtown Spokane. It's going to run from November 14th through the 19th, and you can get your tickets now at BroadwaySpokane.com. And we are very excited to talk to one of the actors from this iconic show, playing Fantine. Now, if you know anything about this, that's a huge role with the most karaoke'd song of all time. We're happy to welcome Haley Dortch to the program. Hello, Haley.
Hi. How are you guys?
Wonderful. Did I pronounce your name correctly?
Yes.
Oh, nice. Now, what I didn't pronounce, I always call it Les Mis because for as far as I can remember, I've never said it right. Do you have the correct pronunciation?
I believe I do, or I believe my press team taught me well.
Nice.
It's pronounced Les Miserables.
Okay.
But the official French pronunciation is much more French and much more official.
As they like to be. I always put that little right at the end of it. I'm like, I feel like that's not right. So.
I feel like if you were to say it in French, it would be right. But for some reason, the Americans are like,
I know. I'm like, that's why a long time ago we just changed it to Les Mis, which works for me. Now, for a lot of people coming into this, seeing this beautiful show, it was the first Broadway show I ever saw 20 years ago. It's one of those shows that it impacts you in a way. It's different than the movie, but you'll remember where you were. I was in the 4th row of the Paramount Theater in Seattle when I was, I think, maybe 18 years old. And so, first I want to say, what's it like to take on something that has such gravity to it, such weight?
I mean, if you feel that gravity, that's for sure. I mean, it is such an iconic musical with such iconic numbers that everyone knows and everyone has expectations. It's been around for almost 40 years now. They just hit their 38th anniversary. Wow. And you have people who have played these roles and won Oscars for these roles. And so there's so much pressure that comes with it. But it's so fun to explore it on your own and be able to create your own perspective to this character.
Exactly. And it's so Fantine, of course, I kind of alluded to the fact the biggest number at every karaoke bar in the world. I Dream to Dream. Every high school choir has done it. My high school choir did it. How are you able to kind of separate yourself and give yourself permission to make things your own?
I think what I've come to realize in this past year of touring, or just performing in general, is when I try and put on what I think it's supposed to be, it's bad. It's not good. I think what people crave is authenticity, and to see someone be their most honest and vulnerable self on a stage just allows such a connection from audience to performer. It's electric. So I think that it's such a beautiful thing to be able to, to really be honest with yourself.
What's fascinating to me is, did I read that this is your first touring show?
Yes, that is true.
What's that been like for you?
I think it's so funny because I've answered this question before, but now a year into it, I'm really starting to process and see, wow, that was insane.
Right.
Because, I left college. I auditioned for this when I was just about to turn 20. So I was still 19 when I sent in my first tape. And then I booked it when I was 20. I started this tour when I was 20. I turned 21 on the tour. And this is my first time full-time job. This is my first time traveling the country. This is my first time, owning a dog. There's so many firsts that I have experienced. And it's really crazy to say that this tour has brought all of these things into my life. And I think it is so wonderful and beautiful to look back on this past year and realize, wow,
Right, and
I
what a
have
way to
lived
start.
so
That
much
helps.
life.
I mean, nothing's going to help you understand work ethic of theater like doing a show, 8 days a week. And I think I saw that you were at the Pantages Theater down in LA, which is
Yes.
iconic in itself, absolutely brilliant. But it also allows you this opportunity that you're on the news. You get to sing. I saw that you sang I Dreamed a Dream on the news. All of these experiences have to fill you up. So you have Fantine, one of the, greatest characters that's in it. Very sad. If you haven't seen the show and you've seen the movie, either way, you know it's depressing when to have this character. How did you find your version of Fantine?
I think it goes back to what I was saying earlier, just about my lived experience is so different. And so therefore, if I'm being honest with my storytelling, it's just going to be different. I think there was a lot of, for me, going back to the text, there was a lot of, it's crazy also, just as this year has gone on, how much my performance has changed because I've either discovered something new or I've lived something differently. And so I see it in a different way. And I think the show is brilliant as Les Miserables is so fun to do because there's always something new to play. There's always more to explore. And so it has just been really exciting I just hit 400 performances,
Wow.
but I would know the difference because they've all been so different and so unique.
And do you think
in their own
also,
way.
do you pull, because do you do 8 shows in a week?
Yes.
I'm exhausted for you. Do you pull some energy from the audience or, where does that, because you have to recycle it and pull it through because that's a lot of shows in a week.
Definitely. I think the audience does play a huge factor in it for me. Just you feel energy. It's connection, like I was saying earlier. But, sometimes you have an audience that is very...
Right.
And so you have to kind of pull it out of yourself. I find that on the days that I'm most exhausted, I do my best shows because that's where Fantine's at. And I have to remind myself of that as, she's exhausted and she's at her wit's end. And so that is just something more to play on and get into rather than...
That's actually a brilliant way to look at that and makes a lot of sense and kind of is helpful when you have to work so hard.
Yeah.
I read a quote that you talked about
Definitely.
how that realization of, oh my gosh, I can't subsist my life on ramen anymore. I have to be very aware of what I'm doing. How has that changed? Since you said you've been doing it, touring with a little over a year, how has your habits and your health changed?
Honestly, it's crazy because it's a night and day difference. It's really awesome because when I started to, I remember talking to my college friends and being like, oh, the biggest thing I want to do is be centered with my body and realize what it's all about, And now, after so much exploration, I feel like I have a steady routine of, okay, I'm in a hotel again. This one has no kitchen. This is how I'm going to eat healthily. And, there are those days I let loose Sunday night, Monday.
Nice.
I had Shake Shack on Monday this week.
I feel like there should be,
it was
going to be the
amazing.
new gym is people have to do theater for like a month. And then maybe it would reset us all. We could save the world. One of the other fascinating things about the show is I know that in French, Les Miserables means the miserable ones, which sounds even more depressing than it actually is. But it was, Victor Hugo wrote the original novel back in the 1800s, back when there was such turmoil in France, and they tend to have a history of that. Are you able to find, because it's also one of the most uplifting shows that you can see. There is the resilience of the human spirit is so big, like the music swells and the audience with it. In a time when sometimes, probably every time this show has gone on, there's been something that we all feel as a culture. Do you find that camaraderie of audience and your whole people on the stage come to understand this. It's almost tongue-in-cheek, The Miserable Ones.
Yeah, no, I totally feel that moment, and I talk about it so often, especially in the epilogue,
Yeah.
The end of the show, because I feel that is the only time we really break the fourth wall and challenge the audience. Will you join in our crusade? Who will be strong and stand with me? Somewhere beyond the barricade, is there a world you long to see? And that is, I think, just one of my favorite moments, especially because if I'm having a bad show or if I'm going through a bad spell in my life, that moment has meant so much to me, because not only is it the end and I'm like, yes, I made it, but it's also this moment of like, I made it and you can too, and you will join in my crusade for whatever you believe in today, whatever change you want to see when tomorrow comes. There's so many beautiful messages in the story, and it's so timeless, and I can see why it has lasted as long as it has, because it just speaks to
it's
everyone,
impossible
truly.
to hear that song at the end and I will cry every time. It does not matter how many times you hear that. My two favorite songs are that one because of the power of it, and let's be honest, Master of the House. I mean, that'll bring it down every time because it's so body and in your face.
Yes, definitely.
So had you experienced the show prior, or did you discover it when you were in it?
So it's funny because the movie came out and I was still in middle school. And so I saw the movie, but I loved the music. And I didn't understand what was going on in the movie. I think I was too young to really grasp what was happening. I stuck with the music, and it's so funny. My mom just found a clip of me singing "I Dreamed a Dream."
Oh my god!
At age 13, it is hilarious. That was such a full circle moment for me to go back and look at on her little camcorder. But I actually saw this tour. I want to say back in 2018 or 19 in Dallas when they came through my hometown. That's where I always saw the national tours that came through, and that's a theater that we will be playing in December. And I saw this tour, and I called my mom at intermission because she wasn't able to come with me during that show, and I said, this is the best national tour I've ever seen.
Oh my god!
She went to a baseball game. I was like, Mom, how dare you? You know what? This is the best national tour I've ever seen, and you're missing out because you went to a baseball game.
And then I have to ask, and listen, spoiler alert, but I can't imagine anybody not knowing this show anymore. But what's it like to play a death scene?
Yeah, it's. I always joke because I say sometimes it feels more real than other days, but I find that every day it's a different scene for me, because sometimes it's really, I am tired and I am just ready to go, and some days it's these few moments of joy, and I try and sprinkle that in and discover something new, because again, it's so sad, and there's so few moments that Fantine can actually smile and be excited or happy about anything. And so it even tears me up thinking about it. It makes me cry every night, because ever since I've realized this, the moment that she sees Cosette, that is kind of one of the first moments that we see her actually happy, is to see her daughter on her deathbed. And it's so sad because, her final lines are telling Valjean to stay with her while she's sleeping because she's alone. She's absolutely alone. And then she's like, wait, never mind. I see Cosette. Tell her I love her. And I'll see her when I wake. And then she dies. And I mean, that scene is so powerful and so touching. And I love playing it. I love discovering.
I think that's amazing.
Anything I can.
I have to tell everybody, it's worth seeing the stage show. I know if you've loved the movie, but they're two different experiences. So it's kind of nice that poor Anne Hathaway had to have that camera right here when she's ugly crying, because there's no way you can't. And I'm like, oh yeah, I'd prefer to be on stage. play Fantine.
Well, it's weird because I can imagine the movie. It's so close and intimate, and so you can play it as you know would
Right.
normally actually behave in that way. But on stage, it's weird to find this. I'm small and weak, but I also have to play for a
Right.
3,500
Yeah.
seat house at the same time. So it's so bizarre. That is, again, that's something I struggle with, I would say, in the show. I feel like I finally found my footing with it, but at first, and every time a director comes back, they're always like, let's talk about this.
Right.
So,
Well, nuance
trying my
is not
best,
an
but,
actor's
yeah.
friend in theater. So I mean, it's hard to do. They say play
Right.
from the back of the room, and you're like, but I'm dying. So yeah.
Yeah.
But I am so excited that y'all are coming through town. The Northwest, as you're already experiencing in Oregon, is beautiful this time of year. Spokane will not disappoint. And let me just tell you about Spokane audiences is we are not shy. And we're very loud and we love a good musical. So you're coming to a good town to do this. So
Yes, I
thank
love
you
it.
for being with us here on the Queer Centric and talking about this amazing show. I'm glad this was your first tour because what a way to start. You know what I mean?
I know, truly. I feel unstoppable.
You should,
now.
yes. Just play that song by Sia, and then everything's good. Everything's good. Now, remember, everybody, you can catch Les Mis, the miserable ones. You can catch at our downtown Performing Arts Center. It's coming November 14th, and it closes on the 19th. So be sure to get your tickets at BroadwaySpokane.com and get them now. And if you see me, I'm there opening night. So please come say hi. I'm there to cry. I'm just all in. I'm all in on this. So thank you again, Haley Dortch, playing the amazing Fantine. And I cannot wait to see you deliver and hear you deliver on the beautiful I Dreamed a Dream. It's going to be amazing.
Thank you. I'm so excited.
Thank you. And until next time, everybody, go to the theater. Bye.
Hey, Tom. Patreon. How's it going? Patreon. I am doing great. Patreon.
Wow, are you having like a stroke or something?
What are you talking about? Patreon. That's just my weird eye. Patreon.
Well, no, I'm used to that, but you're skipping like an old CD. Should I knock you on the side of the head?
Oh, okay. Calm down. Patreon. I read this thing on subliminal advertising, and since we are pushing our Patreon, I thought I'd try it out. Patreon.
Well, very subtle. I'm not sure your version of subliminal advertising is quite the method they had in mind. Patreon. Now you have me doing it.
Once you start, it's kind of hard to stop. It's kind of soothing.
And if by soothing you mean nails screeching on a chalkboard, then sure. To be very clear, it's annoying.
Yeah, I picked that up. Thanks.
We could just be straightforward and tell people to visit our Patreon at patreon.com/thequeercentric.
But I was hoping to be cool and stealth-like.
And you were accomplishing neither of those things.
You're always ruining my fun. Fine. We can just tell them that we have different levels of donations and you get cool stuff on each level and even get exclusive things.
Oh, that's the attitude. Your enthusiasm will be really contagious.
Visit us at patreon.com/thequeercentric to support us today. I mean, I swear it's fun, and we will forever be grateful.
There you go.
Patreon.
Come on, are you serious?
Leave me alone.